Hey guys, this is Miriam. Welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about what Judaism says about modesty. So this channel is dedicated to showing the realities of living a religious or Orthodox Jewish life, and if that's the type of stuff you're interested in, hit the subscribe button below. So the Jewish rules around modesty are typically referred to as Tzniut, the laws of Tzniut, or Tznius, as a lot of Ashkenazim would more commonly say. And modesty is not a great translation of the word. I actually prefer to translate it as dignifying, the laws of what would be dignifying. But considering modesty is how it's more commonly referred to, I'm gonna focus on that for now, and we'll get into why I think dignifying is a better translation later. Okay, so what is modesty? It typically refers to the way people dress. The laws of modesty, the laws of Tznius, apply to both men and women. It is not a strictly women thing, but it also, outside of dress, just pertains to how you present yourself to society. It's not just what you look like, but how are you talking? What attitudes are you using with the world? Things like that. So starting with dress, the Talmud does give very clear definitions of what they would define as modest dress. There is definitely a lot to be said for dressing modest for today's society, but to follow to a T, there have to be like a specific guideline, like outside of just like inches and centimeters and this and that. So the guidelines it gives is collarbone, elbows, and knees. That people should be covered from their collarbone to their elbows to their knees, and obviously everything in between. So for me, this dress is actually from this is a dress, not a thing. This dress is actually from a Mormon website, and Mormons don't hold as strict modest standards as a lot of Orthodox Jews, so you can't fully tell, but this is actually a separate piece. I have a whole shirt underneath just so that the dress reaches up, just so that I am covered to my collarbone here. And just, again, like those standards were created more just because you have to give an exact point rather than like the collarbone itself isn't inherently a sexual place, but if you were just to say like wear a high neckline, that's such a relative term, and the Talmud, the Torah, does get very specific about which mitzvahs it wants us to keep and how it wants us to keep them for the majority of things in life, so that's how we get that. And also, in more strict Orthodox, it doesn't mean just covering to that, it means covering it completely. It would be a difference if I had the dress to here versus here, and the way I cover is to here. There are people that will even cover farther down to make sure that at no point when they're bending will their elbow be exposed, things like that. And again, this applies to both men and women. You will very, very, very rarely see someone who identifies as Orthodox, a man, wearing shorts that are higher than their knees, or a lot of times even shorts at all, not wearing a shirt that's covering up to their neckline, things like that. It is more, a lot of men do take this rule more leniently, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist for them. And also, I guess just here to point out, because it is something men take more leniently, the laws of keeping modest are on you. It is not for anyone's sake but yourself. It is for yourself to be modest. And a good way to show why these rules could be considered the rules of being dignifying rather than the rules of being modest is take the royal wedding, for example, or even just the royal family. No one ever criticizes Kate Middleton for not showing enough leg or things like that. She is I don't know if political figure is the best word, but she's a royal figure in the world. She's a royal presence. And because of that, she dresses in a certain way to keep up this presence. And as Jews, we're always considered, the term is B'nai Melachim, we are the children of the king. So why wouldn't it make sense to always dress as if we are presenting that kingly dynasty and things like that? So again, even if you point at the rules and say, oh, well, it doesn't say how tight something needs to be. Obviously, if you're wearing something that's a bodysuit, you're not dressing in the most dignified way for yourself, and you're not presenting yourself in the most dignified way possible. And that's really hard in today's society, where it's seen as a type of empowerment to show more skin, but I think there's also empowerment in kind of dressing for success. Like, there's different types of dress that are appropriate for different situations, and not only just from casual to more fancy, also just in terms of how much you would show. So none of that exists in Judaism. We're always dressing as if we are representing Hashem, and then also as if Hashem is always there with us, and we're always trying to form that connection through our dress. But again, it's not just about dress. The rules of Tzniut also apply to how we speak. A lot of religious Jews, you'll never find cursing. You won't find screaming in public, outside of protests, obviously. They're not trying to do anything to outwardly draw attention to themselves, because it's not a dignifying, modest way to act. So again, there's tons of intricacies. It's a very personal mitzvah, a very personal commandment as to just how much you'd cover, whether or not to wear tights, open-toed shoes, flashy jewelry, makeup, this, that, the other, whether you'd be loud or quiet in public, what types of words you would use while communicating with other people. But that is a lot of that's on a personal level, and you can't really put a limit on, like, saying like, oh, well, you're not allowed to say X, Y, or Z in public. Obviously, it's not a hard law, but you can even think within yourselves like, oh, I wouldn't say to my grandma what I'd say to my best friend. So I guess just applying some of those things, like if you wouldn't say it to your grandma, is it really worth saying publicly, saying out loud, saying to anyone? So feel free to like this video if you found it informative. Comment down below if modesty is a value to you and how it plays a role in your life. Subscribe if this is the type of content you're into. We post new videos every Wednesday and Sunday, so hope to see you there.